Sophie Cunningham showed that she is, you know, the old Caitlin Clark enforcer. She is the Caitlin Clark enforcer. That has been shown. She is the enforcer that the Fever have needed for the last year, and she has responded. She has responded.
What happens when Sophie Cunningham ditches the basketball and picks up the bodyguard badge like she's been hired by the Secret Service just for Caitlin Clark? Absolute pandemonium. We're talking full-on emotional demolition, locker room tempers flaring, and Sophie
in there, and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
When Sophie snapped, it wasn't a flicker. It was a full superhero origin story. She didn't just show up to play, she showed up to dismantle the entire Connecticut Sun like she'd been planning it all season. This wasn't just drama, it was scorched earth policy, and you better believe. The fallout came in hot, so how did Sophie break her silence after getting ejected for defending Caitlin Clark from the Connecticut Sun Bullies? We'll break it down. If you support Sophie, then comment enforcer Sophie down below. Let's go.
Start with the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin.
From the moment Sophie Cunningham laced up, the whole WNBA should have been on high alert because she didn't clock in for a typical shift. She clocked in for warfare. She wasn't there to shoot threes and run pick and rolls. No, Sophie came with a one-item agenda. Make sure nobody touches Caitlin Clark without immediate life-altering consequences. Think of her as a human firewall, cross her perimeter, and you're getting torched. Welcome
to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
Let's be real, Sophie wasn't moving like a teammate. She was moving like the head of security at Area 51. You throw an elbow at Caitlin, boom, Sophie materializes out of nowhere with the wrath of 10 angry gym teachers and a crossover that doubles as a warning. You bump Caitlin, post whistle. Congratulations, you've summoned the basketball Grim Reaper in a ponytail, and she's got receipts. Let's start here.
This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. We'll go. So there's that. That, of course, was all a byproduct of this right here, folks. And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, it's the understatement.
Sophie doesn't do warm-up jogs. She does territorial patrols. She scans the court like a hawk with caffeine jitters, ready to intercept chaos before it lands. And when it does, oh, she's the court's judge, jury, and executioner. One wrong move around Caitlin and Sophie's already halfway into your lane, delivering justice with a side of shoulder check intimidation. Her body language doesn't say, let's play. It says, try me and meet your chiropractor.
Of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant call foul call fouled, a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
Woman isn't just a deterrent, she's an omen other players stretch before games. Sophie loads metaphorical ammo, while coaches talk about strategy. Sophie's plotting divine retribution for anyone thinking about getting spicy with the Fever's golden child. One glare from her, and even the most seasoned vets suddenly remember they left the oven on. There's no halfway with Sophie. She's not here for the pregame vibes. She's here to throw down like it's the Hunger Games and Caitlin's holding the last district. This level of fearless loyalty is practically extinct in the league. While some stars are curating playlists and practicing mindfulness, Sophie is storming into the arena like a berserker with court clearance. She's bringing that 90s bruiser energy wrapped in a modern-day don't mess with mind mentality. It's instinct, not strategy. You can't teach this kind of ferocity. It's a personality trait with sneakers, and the league it hasn't seen this kind of. I'll burn it all down before I let you touch your energy since Rodman was bodies slamming folks in the paint.
Feel good, and Sophie Cunningham put me out on a high note, folks. I didn't even say, Ben, calm down. Calm down, regroup. I didn't even say that. Let's get straight to the play. Everybody, the plays everybody is talking about. First off, Marina Mabrey body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. JC Sheldon all over her. Riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark needs to start wearing goggles, folks. Caitlin Clark's going to need to start wearing goggles. Bumps up on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark says, "Get your hands off me." And then here comes Marina Mabrey. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no fly.
Now let's get into the real issue. Caitlin Clark didn't walk into this league. She got thrown into the lion's den with a target on her back the size of Indiana. People weren't playing her. They were hunting her, not just defenders. Either entire rosters had it out for her. Like she owed them money. It wasn't enough to outscore her, no. They wanted to make a statement, elbow her into the Gatorade cooler, and send a message. But what they didn't account for, Sophie, watch your mouth, Cunningham, sitting front row with a vendetta.
About a minute and a half into recording this reaction earlier, with 1 minute left, and all hell broke loose between JC Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham, and it is very clear the Indiana Fever, some of these girls on this team are finally fed up.
They didn't realize one woman could shut down a whole press of pettiness. Sophie turned Clark's target zone into a demolition zone. You try to rough Caitlin up now, you're on Sophie's hit list. This wasn't just about team chemistry. It was personal. Sophie appointed herself protector chief, and let me tell you, her background checks are thorough and come with consequences. She reads vibes like some people read box.
Once again, WNBA, we're not talking about your basketball. We're talking about the WNBA WWE Raw circus that you got going on right now, and we all know this incident with Sophie stems from the incident that was clearly not handled correctly by the WNBA and the referee.
Caitlin had to navigate a season where every game felt like a test, and not just skill but patience, cheap shots, side eyes, whispered slights. And while Caitlin kept her composure like a pro, Sophie made sure that staying classy didn't mean staying vulnerable. This wasn't about playing the game. It was about preserving peace in a war zone.
Enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on, because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their job.
While opposing teams huddled up to scheme on Clark, Sophie was already drawing her own plays, mostly involving intimidation, timing, and perfectly legal aggression. The second someone looked at Caitlin the wrong way, Sophie was there fully loaded and ready to bring holy judgment in the form of legal screens and passive-aggressive body language. She's not protecting Caitlin for clout. She's protecting her because this is a teammate who gets it. She sees the bigger picture. And here's the twist: Sophie doesn't just defend, she delivers. She's a legit hooper who just happens to also double as the league's most dangerous deterrent. She's not here for flowers, tweets, or trophies. She's here for Caitlin's safety, her team's sanity, and the utter annihilation of every bad faith bump that magically isn't a foul. Sophie's not just a teammate. She's a force of nature, and when she comes flying into a play with that signature "you messed up" smirk, every single person on the court knows it's about to get real.
Kathy Engelberg. Hello, Earth to Kathy Engelberg. Are you going to step in and do something about this trash that's going on? Players are getting assaulted on the floor. Like, come on, Caitlin Clark could have really got injured right there, y'all. She could have really got injured by these haters, these jealous, hating players. They just jealous and hating, bro. She didn't even get ejected.
What are we doing when the Connecticut Sun players decided to test their luck with some shady fouls and sneaky moving screens? Sophie Cunningham didn't hesitate. She went full medieval. No warm-up, no warning, just pure undiluted vengeance wrapped in a tight ponytail and the kind of stare that makes grown athletes rethink their careers. 1 second Caitlin Clark's getting targeted, the next Sophie's materialized out of thin air like a basketball terminator with zero chill. This isn't some over-the-top act. She's not play acting tough. This is just Sophie in her natural habitat, treating every cheap shot like a personal challenge. If you roll up on Clark with dirty intentions, Cunningham is already halfway through her counterattack, probably drafting your eulogy in her head, while locking in on your jersey number, Caitlin.
Anyway, this is what she posted as soon as it happened. This is in the locker room. This is before the game ended. Before the game ended, she comes out in the locker room and posts this. Like, what are we doing?
Point: Sophie's not even playing defense. She's enforcing boundaries. You make eye contact with Caitlin like you're planning something shady. Sophie's already gliding in from the three-point line with purpose. And it's not just the offender who backs down. It's the whole team. Instinctively, they retreat. They don't know why, they just know danger has arrived. And it smells faintly of sweat, aggression, and vengeance. Once Sophie zeroes in on you with that "try me, face your life" flashes before your eyes. And don't mistake this for chaos. Sophie doesn't lash out recklessly. This is chess, not checkers. She hits you with just enough legality to stay on the court and just enough force to make you second-guess your entire approach to life. She's not the enforcer the league asked for, but she's definitely the one it needs, especially if Caitlin's taking elbows like she accidentally walked into a biker bar mid-tilt.
Caitlin Clark, please leave this league and let it crumble. Please, this league does not deserve you. All this hate from these black people, all this hate from these lesbians, these people in the media, just go play basketball somewhere else. Your fans will follow you. We will follow you wherever you go. But let this shit crumble and burn to the ground, man. Let the viewership drop below 50%. Let them lose hundreds of millions of dollars again, man. Let them go back into irrelevancy. Nobody giving a damn about none of these players. Just leave.
And the Sun definitely felt the full weight of that energy. The second they started circling Caitlin like it was Shark Week, Sophie entered like a caffeine-injected hawk with a personal vendetta. This wasn't a defensive play. This was a declaration. If there had been a flag to throw, Sophie would have been the flag. She was the warning sign, the klaxon, the "you messed up" alarm. One would think someone on the Sun might have said, maybe this isn't the team we start swinging on. But no, this turned into an all-out scuffle, and Sophie happily stepped in as captain, referee, and punishment. Alin won. And while Clark kept dropping buckets like nothing happened, Sophie stood tall, unshaken, completely unfazed, and silently daring anyone else to try again.
Nah. Enough's enough, bruh. Enough is enough, bruh. What is going on? WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous. Marina Mabrey, you just put yourself in the Dejanay Carrington box. You dirty slime ball player, you come and blindside Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabrey assaulted and tried to fight Caitlin Clark today. This is ridiculous. WNBA, Kathy Engelberg, do something. Do y'all want to go back to 55 to 60% of the people not watching shit again? I normally don't cuss in my blogs, but forget that. This was bullshit.
That's the thing, Sophie's not in this for validation. She's not angling for endorsement deals or soft focus interviews. She's there to create disruption with surgical precision. Other teams have finally caught on sneeze in Caitlin's direction, and Sophie's already powering up like a Marvel villain with nothing to lose. She doesn't want respect, she demands fear, and she gets it usually while rejecting your weak layup and leaving you with a psychological scar that'll last through next season. The patterns become painfully clear. You make a move on Clark, and suddenly your body gets reacquainted with gravity in a brand new way. Chirp during a timeout. Sophie's already leaning on the scorer's table like your mom at parent-teacher conferences. This isn't team spirit, it's tactical domination. Commentators are scrambling to label it passion. But let's be real, they're just relieved Sophie hasn't gone full malice at the palace. On press row for mispronouncing.
She went and got revenge. Sophie Cunningham, JC Sheldon's driving to the basket. Sophie Cunningham takes her down. Normal enough take foul. Lindsay Allen gets her by the neck. Then JC Sheldon goes at her, and Sophie Cunningham, by the way, Sophie Cunningham, if she wanted to, it looked like Sophie Cunningham was about to throw some knees at her. Like, she had her in an MMA hold. Like, Sophie Cunningham could have got this MMA fight ended. She could have got this fight ended quick.
Fans are waking up to it. Two people aren't just watching for Caitlin's highlight threes. They're tuning in to see when Sophie decides to hand out justice like it's a giveaway night at the arena 1 second. It's a basketball game the next. It's a full-blown spectacle of vengeance. And perfectly timed retaliation. Sophie's not just playing, she's serving as the WNBA's human alarm system. You can't argue with her. She doesn't give you time to. She's not here for the debates or the podcasts or the fake apologies. She's here to remind you emphatically and without blinking that dirty plays come with consequences, and she'll do it with a grin that says, touch her again, and your chiropractor's going to need backup.
What happened in this game, but first, let's talk about Sophie and JC. All right, JC Sheldon. My goodness, dog. My goodness. Now, honestly, I felt like Sophie might have wanted a piece of JC after the Caitlin Clark and JC kind of scuffle going on, right? Then this happened.
The most telling moment came after the game. Washington Mystics players, the same ones who delivered body slams and shvests throughout the night, refused to shake hands. They walked straight to the locker room. Why? Because they had just watched their own tactics get turned against them by a team. They thought they could bully over 12,000 fans, pack the arena, and created an electric atmosphere. The crowd erupted with every defensive stop, every made basket, and especially when Fever players stood up for each other after those cheap shots. Sophie Cunningham noticed calling the fans the sixth man and crediting their energy for fueling the comeback.